This is Bob Balch from Fu Manchu, and you're watching Aftershock TV.
Well, let's get into something different. Yeah, we've beaten that to death. All right, so this past weekend, Tom, there was the second annual Sick New World Festival, held in Las Vegas. Really a festival that features mostly late 90s, 2000s, I'm going to say late 90s till today. A lot of a bunch of new metal bands you got in there, your Slipknot, Seven Dust, System of a Down. Alice in Chains was in there. You had some grunge, some early 90s stuff. A Perfect Circle played. Lamb of God played. Interesting enough, they played at 12. I was talking to Chris Aiken today. He was saying that they played at 12 in the afternoon.
What?
I mean, that is just freaking bizarre for a big band like that to play that. I don't know, man. It's anyway.
Wow.
Your boys Sleep Token actually were there.
Okay.
Your band Sleep Token that you love was there.
I'm a huge fan. I told you those guys are selling 10,000 tickets a night now, and I don't think anybody knows who they are, but
they will. If they don't, they will.
Yeah, they're getting there. Yeah, I'm intrigued by them. I think they're a very interesting band.
Yeah, they are interesting. I'll agree to that. So, but here's the thing. So it was a huge. So last year it was held in Vegas and it did well, and they came back and did a second a second run at it. 70 bands played in one day. Now, again, I was talking to Chris. He fit because we were talking about this. Like, what the fuck is that? That's insane. First of all, I mean, nobody could see 70 bands. Your ears would freaking just would stop working. I mean, if you listen to that many fucking metal bands in one day. So we were wondering, how the hell did they even?
Was there the stages all over the place, like second stages, and third stages, all that kind of shit?
Right? What it was it was like a revolving stage. So once one band was done, it revolved, and boom, the next band went up. There was no breaks, just nonstop.
On one stage?
Okay, one stage, like a revolving stage.
Dang.
So it revolved, and the next band was ready to go. Boom, and it went right into it. No breaks, no nothing.
So guessing at the back end of the stage, they're getting everything ready, and they just flick it around.
Okay. Flick it around.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly
I get the concept, but I get the concept. But 70 bands in a day, I don't know what to say about that. But the ideal festival for me, and I don't go to festivals anymore. Again, standing in a field for 10 hours, not going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
But I went to, in saying that, I did it when I was younger, so I have a point of reference. So I used to go to Donington festivals. Obviously, living in Ireland, you could hop on a boat, plane, whatever, and be in the UK in 2 hours. And I've been to a number of Doningtons. And I'll give you an example. In 1988, I went to see Iron Maiden headline, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son tour. There was Kiss, David Lee Roth, Megadeth, Guns N' Roses, and Halloween. And that's a monster. That's a monster venue or a lineup right there.
Sure.
Guns N' Roses were second from the bottom, so they'll give you an idea. His appetite was just kind of breaking.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's 88.
88.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were obviously coming up at that point. But for me, that if I had to go to a venue, if I had to go, like your mini festival that you say you're not going in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And that's indoor. If I had to do something, and this would probably be my absolute max. And this used to be 11 o'clock in the morning. I remember that. And then the final band would go on at 10, finish at midnight, or maybe 9, finish at 11. That's 12 hours in the field. No, I couldn't do that now. First of all, bands.
No way.
I look, if you're younger and you want to discover all these bands and.
I do it any day if I was 21 years old.
But here's what I say, right? If you take those 70 bands, everybody is probably going to have a top 20-ish. You're not going to know most of any of the other bands, and you're certainly not going to stick in. I certainly wouldn't. And we're thinking older mindset, but and because the bands are kind of obviously there's a lineup, so they're in order of sequence. So you can look at the lineup and say, well, next up is going to be Biohazard. Well, after Biohazard is going to be whatever. At least I think that's what I read from the not the press release, but from the poster. But I don't know how anybody could do this. I mean, what was the attendance for this? Any idea? Like last year, this year?
I think it sold. Listen, I believe last year it sold out, and I'm pretty sure it sold out this year.
But what sold out? What's that number wise?
The number. I don't know the number offhand. I mean, last year it was. I'm sure they must have held it in a different place. Last year was like a big field. It wasn't like in like a specific, like, I don't think it was like an arena or anything like that,
Okay.
obviously, because it's a revolving thing. So,
Yeah, it couldn't be indoors. Yeah, probably.
yeah, I'm gonna see real quick. I'm gonna see if I can,
Capacity. Yeah.
see if we can look up the
Was it the
final
same
attendance
venue
numbers.
both years? Same place?
No, it was both in Vegas, but I believe it was different. So,
Okay.
believing, let me see, this year it was confirmed on Velvet Hammer Management that there was 65,000 attendance.
What the fuck? Well, first of all, from rock and metal, that's fantastic to see those kind of
Sure.
numbers. Like that's
Well,
huge.
Well, you just look at the bands. There's a ton. I mean,
There's
there
a
were big
ton of
bands
bands
on
up there. Yeah, but it's the top tier bands at the top are bringing in the numbers, and then the rest of the bands are just jumping on trying to get attention. Particularly if you're going on at 2 o'clock or 12, well, with the exception of Lamb of God, which is very unusual timing. But it's just an alien concept to me to consume that many bands in 10 or 12 hours. It's just I couldn't do it.
No, I mean, well, the thing is, how could your ears stick? Because if it's nonstop music and you get no break, that's my thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here. Let's just look at the lineup here. I mean, like I said, yeah. See, it's on a festival grounds, so it was probably held at the same spot as it was last year. I mean,
Okay.
you've got monster bands, Slipknot, System of a Down, Alice in Chains, Perfect Circle. You said Lamb of God's in there. If you go to the 90s band, Primus and Helmet, then you go Black Veil Bride, Spirit Box is a new big band.
Mhm.
Kitty. I mean, these are all, not all
Yeah,
of
no,
them. Some Knocked Loose is another huge big band. Like Ginger, another one.
Yeah.
These are big enough, Motionless in White. So those, it's that kind of, Static X. I mean, but yeah, I mean, we're not seeing, like this is an Aftershock. Let's put it that way. Aftershock Festival's got like the biggest of the big, right? They got the Metallicas and all that stuff. But 65,000, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? That's
numbers are tremendous. I mean,
Yeah.
if this is the future of, I don't know how they can do this every year with having that many bands. I mean, how many of those bands were there last year? Do you have enough revolving bands to be there? It's just an intriguing concept. I'm just looking at it. Most of them I've probably heard of. So I can't read.
Well, I mean, last year was really big. They had Korn and Deftones and Incubus, System of a Down. They had Chevelle still. I mean, they had Papa Roach. They had all those kind of bands.
Yeah.
So it was just as big,
Really
as it
was. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
But once again, who's I look at some of these bands that none of us know. Snow Strippers, Ultrasun.
Nope.
I mean, Better Lovers. I don't know these bands. I mean, Baby Metal. Okay, everybody knows down.
I know them.
Fear Factory's down a little bit. So they had Power Man 5000, Nonpoint, Taproot. I mean, those are big bands, but some of these bands, Nitzer Ebb, that's interesting. That's like an early 90s sort of industrially new wave type of thing. But it's a very, but 70 bands, man. Again, so Aftershock Festival now has, 130 bands, but spread out between 3 to 4 days. I believe.
And the ticket for this, the cheapest ticket for that was $325 from what I can see online, right up to $650 for whatever the super duper parking or whatever. Like, so that's okay. Good value if you break it down. 70 bands by $325 is great value, but it's still a lot of money up front to see any band, whether it's 70 or one. $325, and that's excluding then your beer and your travel and your this. So you're probably talking $500 for a day's entertainment right there. But if you're going to see 70 bands and that's your thing, but maybe we're young or too old to think like a 25-year-old who loves that shit. And as far as he's concerned, he's just getting drunk in the field with his buddies, and he couldn't give a shit.
Here's the thing, right? I'm gonna disagree with that. But here's the difference. So if you look at this, right, it's held in Vegas. Now, Vegas is a destination city, right?
Sure.
So that is a place. If you see that venue, I mean that show, you could, if you're outside of Vegas, you don't live in Vegas, you go, well, that's a sick lineup. We can make a vacation out of this, right?
Yeah,
we can
go. Vegas is a destination, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So we can spend a weekend there. But 25-year-old kids don't have the money to be.
They don't have the money either. So that's a great point. Mm-hmm.
So again, $325 for this ticket. All right. Now, unless they're straight edge kids, but most kids that age aren't. They want to drink. As I'm sure there's $20 beers there. Probably Bud Lights or whatever it is for $20. Because I remember last year, my old partner on Heavy Galaxy there, John Gist, He went to that show because he
Mhm.
lived literally like right across the street from me. He lives, and he was showing me they were just selling water and Bud Light. That was it, drink wise.
Water, please.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. Same here. I wouldn't drink. I'm not spending $20 on a fucking
Nope.
Bud Light at all. I
Nope.
never would. So if I'm a kid, there's no way I would go to that thing. I mean, first of all, they just don't have the money for it. You know what I mean? That's what is interesting too. When you look at festivals like that these days, or any festivals, even the Aftershock or any of the big festivals here, I'm not. I'm just gonna, I guess, speak for the States. I mean, it's geared and it's marketed towards people our age group and older and maybe a little bit younger than
Yeah.
me. Maybe like 40 to 60. But once again, I mean, spending 12 hours, how can anyone our age group do it? It's like I said, back in the day when there was Ozfest, okay, when I was in my 20s and it was Ozfest, it was a reasonable price ticket. I think it was probably about, anywhere from 80 to, $80 or maybe up to 100. It could be up to 100 if I remember. But, you pregame before you went in. And when you went in,
Yeah.
beers were expensive, sure, but they weren't $20 expensive. Once again, we're talking about double the price here. So I'm amazed that it did as well as it did. Like I said, I shouldn't say I'm amazed because, like I said, Vegas is a destination city. I guess that's what people are doing. I guess, right? I guess a lot of people are just looking at festivals, and I can see it because I've done a little bit. I've done the smaller little festivals down in San Diego, what have you. I've made it like a trip out of it, for little festivals like 9 or 10 bands. So I guess that's just maybe the new model. I think that's what's working. I mean, Aftershock is doing it, and
but it's almost like just Vegas specifically. There's a reason they chose Vegas, and there's a reason went back to Vegas because it worked clearly. But like Tesla as an example, I think they're doing a residency right now. Scorpions are there. Obviously they're legacy bands, but to your point, that's like you and I, living in the same town going, hey, let's go to Vegas for the weekend, fly in, go and see Scorpions, go and see Tesla, have dinner, have a couple of drinks, fly out the next day, whatever, do some sightseeing. So I can see how it's working and I was listening to Frank Hannon today. He was on Eddie Trunk, and he's saying that like they sold out 2 weeks. No, they're not selling out, arenas. They're probably sending 1,000 tickets or 800 tickets.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Mandalay Bay or something.
Yeah, it is. It is a Mandalay. You're right.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is. But they're going in for 2 weeks and then they're going back out again. And this is their third residency. So, and Scorpions, I think the Scorpions do it recently, or I can't remember. I know the name is.
They did, I believe. Yeah, and you're right. I know Tesla did it. Because when me and John started Heavy Galaxy, our first
they did
interview,
it 3 times. They've actually been there 3 times.
Yeah.
So they're going back, but again, they're going back to Vegas because Vegas is a destination, and they're catching the 50-year-olds going into town weekend with the boys, drinking beer, catch a rock show type thing.
Or if you're a 50-year-old and you just happen to be there and you're like, oh, awesome, man.
God damn, who's in town? Tesla, yeah. You don't and you probably know one song from 1988, but you said, fuck it.
Good enough. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's good
that's
enough.
it. Yeah,
that's all it takes. Yeah, because for Heavy Galaxy, we interviewed Dave Rude last year, right as they were starting that residency. He was in Vegas when we interviewed him, and he was saying like, "Oh yeah, it's going." Like, I think it was their second show. He said it's going great, and they were already thinking of doing another one. And like you said, it's been 3 in like just a little over a year.
Yeah, I think they just finished one, if I'm not mistaken, recently.
Okay,
they just finished the third. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, as I said, Vegas is understandable. Like this thing, I could see. But once again, 70 bands. That's just way too much.
I'm intrigued by Vegas, 65,000 people, 70 bands, and it worked not just 1 year, but worked 2 years. It was going, God damn, they know something we don't know. So we're not here to criticize. We're just saying,
no,
I just don't get it. It's like it's
too much. It's too much.
It's kind of puzzling to me how this is successful. But hey, tip of the hat to whoever came up with that idea.
Yeah, I mean. But here's the problem too. Now we're getting this is the issue now too when you have these mega festivals. Like most of these festivals, I'd have to look up if this one is. But when we've been seeing in the States here, okay, over the last probably good 5+ years, we've been seeing what do you call it? A lot of festivals finally in the States, right? For Europe's had them, like you said, Donington and Vakken forever. We just weren't having them here, right? But my problem, I don't think this one is a no. I don't think it's. But most of them are run by one person individually. Danny Wimmer. Okay. Now, once again, that's concerning because you've now got a guy who's got a monopoly on these major festivals. He does Aftershock. He does most of the festivals across the country, the big ones. What was the one that was just down south? Not too far from you recently. I forget the name. I think it's in Tennessee area.
Okay.
I forget what it is. But bottom line is, there's a whole bunch of them now. But pretty much he does all of them. So again, what's happening is it's like sort of a Live Nation thing. He's cornered the whole market now with festivals.
Yeah.
See, to me, this is why I almost won't go to these, because for one, not only is it too expensive and ridiculous money-wise, not only am I only going to see these bands, if I do like them, play for 20, 30 minutes tops, probably 20 minutes, which to me, it's like, that's not that good. I don't want to, I want to see more than 20 minutes or 5, 6 songs from a band I love. I don't also want to pay, they said, the exorbitant prices. So to me, I like I said, I'm going to go back to this Omega Fest thing. Now, this is just a local thing, the Omega Fest, but it's intimate. It's in one venue. It's one day.
What's the capacity of that venue, man?
I think it's about 1,500. It's not huge, okay, but it's not super small either. It's a great venue. It's a very, because you've got your pit area there, and above that, everything's above that. You got a back area everyone can stand and hang out, and it never gets, even when it's sold out, I've never seen it get like really like you're basically shoulder to shoulder everybody. It's not that bad. Plus, they let you go. I like it too because they let you go outside. You can go outside. You can go down the street to the bar. You can go get food, or you can go get a drink if it's cheaper, and then come back. They do let you out.
Interesting. They give you a wristband. They give you a wristband.
Yeah, wristband. For smokers and stuff. So they let you come in and out. Which I think is smart too. I mean, yes, will that hurt the venue a little bit in terms of making money, but at least you paid the ticket. The price. So my thing is because you've got these mega fests, and once again, just like people going to see arena shows, paying $300 to see whoever it is to play at an arena, people are paying $300+ to see these now big festivals.
Yeah.
Instead of, and I get it for the bands, right? If the bands can't afford a tour, so playing these festivals is perfect for them.
And it's exposure. Like they're playing to 70,000 people in one day, or 50,000, whatever it's going to be. So I get. I mean, if I got the opportunities as a band way down the bill to play that gig, of course you're going to do it. Even if you didn't get a dime, you're going to do it just purely for the exposure.
And the festivals, listen, they seem to be the way. The bands want to be on festivals, like you said, exposure. Plus, the problem is, and this is what's happened, is you now with the smaller festivals. I go to this one in San Diego every year called the SoCal Heavy Jam, and there's about 9 bands, sort of like the Omega Fest here. But they have so many. It's hard for the promoters and the organizers because you've got every band in the world that wants to get on that. They want to get on it. They want to get on that bill. Yet there's only so much space, right? You don't want to make it too big. That's the thing. I'm doing this film I think I was telling you about, and a couple of the guys that we're having in the film, they're the ones that put on this festival. I think it's going to be featured in the film, and that's their main thing. Is like, well, God, we've got so many bands that, our friends band, because you want to get your, obviously you've got your buddies that you want to help them out, right? And then you've got, obviously, of course, you want to have a good festival, so you want to get bands on the bill that people want to come see. So but then there's only a certain amount of slots, and then you've got other people, all these other bands that want to get on there, but you got to be careful not to make it too big. That we've seen this happen a lot of times. Like another festival out of Vegas that was huge, that now is defunct. I don't know if it's coming back. It wasn't there last year. It's called Psycho Vegas. I'm sure you might have heard of it.
Yeah, the name. Never been, but I know it.
Sure. Now it started out as straight up just a stoner doom festival. Okay, the promoter probably put on about 30 plus, 30 to 40 like stoner doom bands, not like huge names, a couple of bigger names in that scene, but nothing major. But it grew little by little, and it got bigger and bigger to the point that all of a sudden one year I'm seeing Alice Cooper and Megadeth headlining.
Wow.
So we see all these festivals. We see with Coachella. We've seen these things start out as this really organic, great idea. Everybody hears about it. It's something different. They go to it. It's great. Now the big money people hear about it, and they're like, "Whoa, what's going on there?" Right? It draws their attention. They come in, they go to the promoter, "Hey, I'll buy you out, or we'll do whatever it is." And they come in, they put, and then I get you want to grow things. If you're a promoter too, you're thinking, "Great, I could have this major huge festival. I can make a living off doing this." I get it. The idea of making money off it makes sense, but then it always gets ruined. It never lasts. And that's what happens here in the States all the time. I mean, at least with Europe, you've got those festivals that have been lasting for years. But here, it starts out as something organic and really good, It builds up slowly after a few years. Once it becomes a little bit more mainstream and corporate,
Yeah.
it's done. It's done within 1 or 2 years later.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the problem. And so I'd love to just continue to see these smaller festivals, because I will travel to see a 9-10 band festival as long as you get the right bands on there.
Oh, I would too. 100%. But it has to be. And then
Mhm.
how do you can't please everybody. So that's the other side of it. And then obviously depends on the location. You know, Vegas is as Vegas, we get it. But, you know, with that same, would that work if Charlotte, for argument's sake, in North Carolina? Probably not, because we're not we're a business city. We're not a destination city, kind of,
Yes.
sort of, kind of thing. But I guess, but hey, it's interesting. It's we're talking about it. So it's topic of one of our topics tonight. So
It is. And I think the key is getting promoters that really just love the music. You know, I think a lot of times you get these promoters that, you know, they start out that way, but like we were saying, you see dollar signs.
Yeah.
It's a bit, I hate to say, but it's a bit of greed, you know, instead of just being like, I've got this cool thing going and I want to keep this thing going for 20 years and, you know, make some history with it. It's easy when you've got sponsors and you got all this big money coming in and say, I like what you're doing. I want to sponsor you. And then you keep, but then
they
you
fuck it up. Yeah.
well, they fuck up because you got to make it bigger, and then they want more bigger bands. And by the time you make it bigger bands, now it's this big thing that you can't really control anymore. It gets, and either you get bought out or it just goes away because they just can't do it. So it's it's interesting with the festivals. Like I said, I'm glad they're here. I really am, but there's got to be something done because none of them are lasting, and they're just getting too out of hand. And like you said, people like us are not going to stand in a field for 12 hours and pay $20 for Bud Light. So, yeah.